Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Crypto Convo, series where we cover exciting news and price action in the land of cryptocurrencies and crypto-related stocks. In this video, we are going to be talking about whether Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency sector as a whole are on their way back to the moon, or whether we're going to see more short-term downside ahead. I'm assuming you guys are going to assume, because I just said that, and you're looking at a chart with a downside price target on it, that I do personally believe that there is more short-term downside ahead. You guys know that I'm an absolute bull on Bitcoin, Ethereum, many of the names we're going to be talking about today. Some of these stocks we're going to be talking about are my favorite stocks in the entire market, some of my #1 stock picks for the entire year. And I don't think by any means that the 2021 crypto market, that this long-term uptrend is over. That said, I still believe there is more short-term downside ahead, and I'm sus on the entire markets. If you guys have been tuning in, you would know that, but I feel like there's a little more downside ahead, and we will correct a little further over the course of the coming week or so, all right? So I'm very excited to let you guys know why, talk to you guys about some downside and upside price targets once this correction is finished. But before you do, I do have to let you guys know, I know many of you know this, but it has to be said, this is just my opinion, guys. I could very well be right, I could be wrong, I don't know. I don't want any of this to come across as fact, because it's absolutely not. This is just how I'm personally dictating the markets and reading the charts for myself, okay? So that said, let's get into it. As always, we'll quickly go over each topic we're going to be discussing, go over some of the names we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, TradingView, where once again we will be talking technicals and price targets today on the following names in this order, going down the watch list. You can see right on the right. Kicking it off with the king, as always, what you see in front of us, good old Bitcoin. So kick it off with Bitcoin. Bitcoin looking pretty good right now, just actually crossed 50K in the past like 20 minutes or so, which is big, but again, you guys, I'm still a little sus on the market environment, and I do think there's more downside. So I'll talk to you guys about why that is. Again, have to kick it off with Bitcoin. We will then move in to the silver to Bitcoin's gold, or the oil to Bitcoin's gold if you guys watch that video. Ethereum. So Ethereum looking pretty good right now. Of course, if Bitcoin's moving, the entire market's going to bounce with it. Ether looking solid, but Ether and ChainLink, a lot of these altcoin plays that have seen a significant pullback are looking a little sketchy to me on the charts. Using just general trend lines, and I'll go in to tell you guys why that is, and once we look at the charts, that'll become pretty evident to you as well. But again, you guys, I'm very bullish on every play here long term, fundamentally for sure, but again, more short-term downside I think is ahead. So those are the three actual cryptocurrencies we're going to cover. Then we are going to move into a good old name change. So Marathon Patent Group, the used to be Marathon Patent Group, is now Marathon Digital Holdings. That sounds way better. Always going to be MARA, so they kept the ticker symbol MARA, but I've never liked the name Marathon Patent Group, to be honest. Marathon Digital Holdings has a way better ring to it, and in all honesty, names matter a lot in this current kind of hype-driven market environment. I think we can all agree with that. So, kick it off with good old Bitcoin miners MARA and Riot Blockchain. Riot both having an extraordinary day today, kicking off the month of March with a bang. So you love to see it there, you guys. We'll talk about our favorite Bitcoin miners, then move into Junlei XNET, my personal favorite blockchain play. Still believe. Again, you guys, because I do think that Bitcoin will ultimately correct a little further, again, just for another week or so, I do think that these will see more downside, but ultimately I will talk about those upside price targets like I mentioned at the beginning. So talk about MARA, Riot, Junlei or XNET, then move on to two of my favorite OTC or over-the-counter stocks. Currency Works having a good day as well, and ALYI lagging a little bit, but again, you guys, ALYI, as I describe it, is like the Harley Davidson of electric vehicles. They are targeting an emerging market in Africa. Very fun story. They have the Revolt token though, which is why I include it in these crypto convos, because actually they're talking about that Revolt token ICO, or initial coin offering. The same thing as like an IPO, but with a coin offering, of course. They're talking about that coming pretty soon, and the technicals, the setup on ALYI is still looking very appealing to me personally. All right, so those are the names we're going to be covering today, you guys. I hope you are excited, but before we dive into the charts, as always, I'll ask you to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it today, or if you're trading or invested in any of the stocks we're going to be talking about. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here and want to catch more content like this, and of course check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter, $15 a month, first link down in the description. If you want a complete breakdown of my entire portfolio, I do update that every single trading day during market hours. All my call options, all put options, stock positions, crypto positions, literally an entire breakdown of my complete portfolio. Once again, do update that every single trading day during market hours. And with every update, I send out a pretty comprehensive email newsletter explaining my thoughts, rationalizing my trades, and letting you guys know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Again, not to copy me. I do not by any means want you to copy me. I want you to learn from my success, from my failures, just to hopefully implement some of those principles into your trading style as well. Okay, so again, $15 a month. Really appreciate it if you check it out. First link in the description. but if not, no worries at all. Let's dive into these charts. So Bitcoin again did just cross 50K, immediately eaten back up because of course 50K is a very significant psychological barrier. This is pretty self-explanatory here, you guys. If you guys watched the video I posted a few days ago talking about the correction, it's very evident to me that Bitcoin is printing a head and shoulders right now. And the thing about a head and shoulders pattern in an overall bull market is sometimes it doesn't play out. Sometimes it just acts as another high. But as you can see here, Bitcoin has proven that this is not a higher low, which is very, very crucial when determining like the overall trend direction. So this is actually a lower low because back here, pretty much it's evident to you guys. It's very clear that Bitcoin came lower. This low here on this correction went lower than any of the lows previously from this area over here. Okay, so this is actually a lower low on the overall uptrend, which does signal to me, although we did break out of the short-term downtrend, I'll talk about that a little more after, that we are still in a downtrend. Okay, so as long as we are above, pretty much just to sum this up right now, as long as we are below this high right here and don't set a higher high or don't break this previous high of this high low right here, sorry, I'm kind of mixing it up here, but as long as we don't break 52K, we'd have to close a 4-hour at least above 52K in my opinion to sway my decision and actually think that we are going to resume the overall uptrend. Okay, until then, which I think this is pretty much just a higher low ultimately, I do think that will still come out. I do think that we're going to play out this head and shoulders again, because if we set a higher low, even if this low just stopped right here, I'd be a lot more convinced in the fact that maybe this is a higher low and maybe this trend direction is just we will just resume the overall long-term uptrend. But again, this is a lower low, and that gives me reason to believe that we will resume this downtrend. As you guys can see here, I do have a little time frame going on here. Okay, so from this head and shoulders, of course, this is the head, left shoulder, right shoulder here. I imagine it will play out with a similar time horizon. Okay, so both of these lasted 10 days roughly. Again, not exactly, but about 10 days, 64 bars on the 4-hour bars, but I do think, again, this will likely mirror itself. That's usually how head and shoulders patterns play out. It's not going to be exact, but it will probably be pretty close. And if it does go 10 days from this initial like significant pullback we saw in Bitcoin since it set its all-time high, that would take us to March 5th, which is the end of the week, which actually correlates nicely to when I think a lot of the equity indices, so the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Dow, will kind of finalize their short-term corrections as well. So I do think this will play out. Maybe we go sideways. Maybe we come up a little bit more. Again, as long as we aren't above 52K, we don't close a 4-hour or a daily. If we close it daily above 52K, that will make me, that will flip me bullish. But until then, I do think this head and shoulders will play out because of this lower high, because of this lower low, I'm sorry. And I do ultimately think that we will come down to at least test this high over here to completely resolve the head and shoulders pattern at about 39 to 40K. But I think it's also very likely that Bitcoin actually tests the ultimate line of support because it's been so long, and because this correction is initiated, I think it's very likely, to be honest. So let's get rid of this quickly. I think it's very likely actually that Bitcoin actually comes down a little further to like down here. So I think that we will ultimately test the overall line of support on the long-term uptrend prior to resuming that overall uptrend. Okay, so come down here. If we test this, say March 6th, that would take us to about 38,000. Again, you guys like to keep it conservative. A lot of people are going to be looking at these same trend lines. I would say 39K, 40K even. I'm personally comfortable accumulating Bitcoin and Bitcoin-related positions, all right? On the upside, though, say we do that, we'll probably go sideways, capitulate for a little bit because the market will not be comfortable buying back in just yet. Ultimately, I think Bitcoin will test the top side, the top side line of resistance on the overall uptrend, and that could take us, say we hit it by March, say we hit it by the end of March. That's kind of what I'm doing. All like my long-term, more medium term price targets on the upside are going to be for the end of March, early April, and that would take us to the elusive 6-figure Bitcoin if we hit this this top side line of resistance on the overall uptrend at the end of March. And again, this is a short-term correction. I think it's going to correct. I think it's going to go down further, but I do think it's only temporary. And I do think that as we close out spring and go into summer, many of these plays are going to be ripping once again. Okay, so that is Bitcoin. That's the most important. Again, you guys keep in mind that all of these, every single name on here is going to have some semblance of correlation to Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the king, and of course the crypto sector does follow their leader, for not completely, of course, but for the most part. So moving on, Ether, and I'll talk to you guys about why ETH is looking a little weird to me right now. Okay, so please load a little faster. Okay, so as you can see here, you guys, Ether over the course of this uptrend was in a very, very solid ascending channel, dating all the way back to the genesis of this short to medium term rally starting back in December. Okay, was in this beautiful ascending channel. Once it broke below it, it's very, very likely to me that Ether, it did prove it back here after this bounce, after this really extreme drop over here, that Ether did come up and use this as resistance. It was rejected by this previous line of support, TA 101 right there. Previous support will act as new resistance, vice versa. And I do think that, in all honesty, I think there's more downside for Ether ahead. So if we do use the absolute line of resistance, we'll go to the daily for Ether and Chainlink, and then we'll go back to the 4-hour for Mara and all the stocks. Okay, so just because this is getting a little more macro because we're in this parabolic bull market. Okay, so Ether. Glass half full, you guys, this is technically a higher high, unlike Bitcoin, okay? So, actually, I mean, I guess this is, on the overall longer-term uptrend, this is a higher high right here. If Ether closes below this area right here, which actually lines up pretty perfectly. So, if we do come down here to correct, if Ether touches this overall line of support that I think is pretty light, like this is where I'm personally comfortable accumulating a bunch more Ether. This is where I would be personally comfortable accumulating at around $900, all right? That said, we could very well resume this rally, but I do think that we would need to reassume this ascending channel right here for me to flip bullish. Okay, so Ether, two scenarios. A lot of the stocks we're going to be talking about today have these same two scenarios. Bitcoin, same thing. They'll either come up, resume the rally right now, not correct further in the short term, resume the rally, and ultimately come up to test the top line of resistance on their overall uptrends. Again, that's possible. That's very possible, but I'm thinking that we are going to correct a little more. We've seen such a crazy rally over the past like 3 months already. And again, you guys, just playing so many bull markets in my life, playing so many FOMO rallies, so many hype cycles. Corrections usually last a little longer than this, okay? So I do think we'll see a significant correction, again, prior to closing out the spring, going into summer on an absolute bullish note, okay? So downside price target for Ether is $900. Price target for Ether on the upside, if we hit it again, end of March-ish, could be $3,500. But again, you guys keep in mind that the further out we extend these lines of resistance, because they're so steep, the price targets can get significantly higher and higher, okay? And to be honest, this is a little, I mean, I'd be more comfortable doing like even that right, like this is an obvious trend line right here. This has a lot of touch points right here. Again, don't get greedy. This is way more conservative and actually a price target, now that I'm looking at it, that I'm a lot more comfortable sharing with you guys. So I will change my price target right now. Say we hit it April 4th, just where my cursor lands. That would bring us to a 3K Ethereum, which is very exciting here. That's a 2x from 1500 where we're floating right now. So ChainLink, gonna keep this one quick because I want to move into the stocks. I know you guys do too. ChainLink looking very similar. So ChainLink is again, same exact thing. You see this beautiful ascending channel here since December, or since early January. Chainlink's weird because it acts a little differently to the rest of the crypto markets, which is actually a reason I really like holding Chainlink. It's almost a hedge to the greater crypto markets and many of the plays in the crypto sector. Okay, that said, I think Chainlink might do the same thing, maybe come up short term to test this previous line of support, use it as a new resistance, and then resume the downtrend. So Chainlink is tough because it's like, I don't know where, I mean, I guess you could draw a trend line like using these two candle lows, but I feel like that's almost unfair. I think this is a little more fair right here. So this is, I'd personally be comfortable buying. I don't know. This is a little tough for you guys, and I don't want to spend too much time on. Like, this is, if we absolutely tank, this is what a lot of traders are going to be looking at, and that would take us to a $14 Chainlink, which is like a further 50% correction from here. I mean, I'm scooping up a fat bag of Chainlink if we come back down to $15. But again, it's a little tougher with Chainlink in all honesty. I mean, you could kind of do like just generally, like, this is like, oh man, I don't know, you guys, but Chainlink, again, I'm holding Chainlink for the long term. I don't trade these cryptos. I accumulate on dips, and trust me, if we do come down to $15 to test the overall line of support, I'm definitely buying a big old bag of Chainlink. Okay, so moving on to Marathon Digital Holdings. Looks good. Okay, so let's actually go back to the 4-hour here, and then again, we'll close all these out on the 4-hour. So Marathon Digital Holdings, it sounds so much better. I really. Shout out to the CEO. If you happen to be watching, which you're definitely not, shout out to you. So Marathon Digital Holdings, again, I do think that there's more further downside because I think Bitcoin is going to correct. Downside price target for Marathon Digital Holdings to test the overall line of support, similar to Bitcoin, is going to be $27. Okay, again, don't get greedy. I'll personally scoop up a big old bag of Mara at $29, even, or $28, $29 even, maybe even $30. But I think it is very likely that we once again once again come down to test the overall line of support, because we haven't done it yet. We haven't done it since back here in late January. I just think it's time. I think we're a little overextended, and we do again need to execute a little more of a short-term correction prior to resuming the overall rally. Again, downside price target for Mara $27, $28. I'm buying at $28. Even if it goes down to 27, that's all right. Again, don't get greedy here. Upside, again, we'll come down here, maybe bounce a little bit in this channel. I think we will spend a week or so in this channel, in all honesty, if we do come down here. Again, just rebuild, regain that positive optimistic investor sentiment. But after going sideways, again, bouncing through this channel for a little bit, I think we will ultimately pop back up. And my price target for Mara, if we hit it by the end of the month, I didn't do this one by the end of the month. I don't know why I did that. April 1st, price target for Mara is going to be like $70. Okay, so I do think going into April, Marathon Digital Holdings and Riot Blockchain do announce earnings. I believe Mara is the 22nd of this month and Riot is the 24th. Those are going to be very important days for these companies, and I do think they're going to impress. Again, they have BTC on their balance sheet. They're accumulating miners, and Mars specifically has significantly more Bitcoin on their balance sheet. So if around earnings time Bitcoin sees a bounce back, which I do think it will, again, I only think this correction will extend another probably another week to 10 days, like 7 to 10 days max. I do think that as we get into, again, the 22nd, 24th of the month, Bitcoin will be climbing back up, and both Marathon Digital Holdings and Riot Blockchain will have very impressive earnings calls when we get like 3 weeks or so out. Okay, so I do think that is going to be the catalyst. Again, I do think we're going to pull back short term. Again, maybe pull back by like March 10th or something, go sideways for a little bit, and then boom, March 22nd comes around Monday, pops up, and then maybe again, I do think ultimately that will catalyze a move up from a fundamental perspective to test the overall line of resistance. Most bullish case for Mara is that we come up to here if we break beyond this line, which is what Riot did when we saw that recent parabolic rally. Absolute topside price target for Mara. Again, if we test the very top, very optimistic line of resistance on the upside, that would take us to almost that 3-digit Mara, $97. That's close enough for me. Okay, so that is what I'm personally thinking on Mara. Again, guys, my money's on everything I'm saying. So move on to Riot. Very similar chart. You guys know these are two peas in a pod. They're slowly playing catch up. Riot is a little more extreme if we do happen to test the overall line of resistance here. So Riot is actually above a pretty significant previous line of resistance that it has been using as both support and resistance right here, as you see it bouncing around in this area. If Riot does break below this, then I'm very confident that we will ultimately come down to test this red line right here, the absolute line of support on the overall uptrend. That'll take us to also test this previous high right here ish if we test it mid-March. So that would line up perfectly too, because Riot actually hasn't come down to test this high, test this area that we spend a lot of time around, and that did act as a pretty significant ceiling over the course of this bull rally. Okay, so price target for Riot is to test the overall line of resistance. I'll use this instead because it's just a little more conservative. $30, just nice even $30 price target on the downside for Riot. Again, Riot, same thing. We'll probably come down to 30. I don't want to say probably. I'm guessing we're going to come down to like the $30 to $32 region. Even me, I'm personally comfortable buying at like $32. Again, I'm very adamant on not getting greedy, especially if you're buying such a great company like Riot. $32, I'm personally comfortable buying Riot, and I do think we'll go sideways, float around in this general region, which is a very, that's a wide gap, but general region, and ultimately, again, after their earnings call, which I do think will be very good, pop up to test the overall line of resistance. That would take us to, this is a little more reasonable, this one right here. This is what we just looked at on Mara. This would take us to, if we go to test this trend line, pretty much just set a new all-time high, not a lot, but this would take us to $90. If we can break above this once again, like we did back here, absolute price target for Riot Blockchain on the most optimistic side is going to be $130. All right. So those are the Bitcoin miners. Let's move on to Junlei or XNET. XNET looking a little weirder. So I actually did not alter this chart today. I did look at it today, of course, but I did not alter it. So I'm sorry about that. XNET is looking like it's also kind of setting a head and shoulders, but I think as far as asymmetric risk profile for XNET goes, I really like it, because I do think XNET will ultimately come down short term. I think it's going to test this line of resistance right here, this orange line, the line of support, the overall line of support. Again, that would take us to about 6. If we hit it by the end of this week, we'll just say 650, nice even price target for XNET on the downside, which isn't that much more downside. I do think we will kind of play this out as, again, because I think Bitcoin's going to go down. I think everything else is going to fall a little bit too. But like end of this week, again, just price target, we'll sum it up right now. Price target for XNET on the downside is 650. Ultimately, though, I'm very bullish on XNET, and I love how clear even here, you guys. So let's extend this to, again, April 1st right here. That's a nice conservative price target. You can see two 4-hour closures actually in this area right here. And again, you have multiple touch points. So very, very like confident right here. If we test this mid-March, say we test this mid-March, come back up here, price target for XNET is going to be 1350. Again, this purple line right here I've had drawn forever, acted as a very significant ceiling and floor for XNET back in 2017. But XNET's high back in 2017 was $25. China is... I love the U.S. I'm very patriotic, but China is on the come up right now, and I'm very bullish on China's economy personally. So, Junlei, I wouldn't be surprised at all if once we do resume the crypto rally, that XNET once again reclaims that 2017 high of at least $25. But we could go even higher because again the fundamentals are very strong with this one. So, just say we test the overall line of resistance on April 1st, that would take us to a $15 plus XNET, and I'm very confident that we will ultimately see that, again, once we resume this overall rally. Close out with CWRK and ALYI. So CWRK, currency work, is setting a higher low right here, but we're also, again, similar to XNET, similar to a lot of these plays, printing what looks to be a head and shoulders-ish pattern. So, again, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, all these are going to be somewhat similar, but I think the downside for CWRK isn't all that crazy as well. So CWRK, many of you guys know I don't trade these stocks. I do view this and ALYI as like venture style investments. I'll buy dips, but I'm not going to sell stock. It's also just out of kind of principle. Just keep the hand strong. I always say that, and I want to live by what I'm saying. So, downside price target for CWRK is going to be to test the overall line of support. I actually think that's very likely if we do resume this correction. That would take us to March 5th. That would take us to about 93 cents. So 95 cents, I'm personally a buyer of CWRK, which is a pretty significant correction from here. But again, you guys, corrections are a healthy part of every bull market. It gives you an opportunity to capitalize and get that average share price on your overall position down. So downside price target for CWRK is 95 cents by the end of this week if we play it out. Upside price target, this is a little more conservative right here. I'm going to use this price target by April 1st. If we hit it, would be $3.20. So if you're able to scoop it up down here, you're looking at a cool 3x if this plays out as I'm expecting it to. Okay, and once again, I want to make it very clear, I will 100% be buying CWRK if it comes down to test the line of support at 95 cents. All right, let's close it out with the Mars rover that is ALYI. So ALYI is in this kind of weird bull flag descending triangle pattern right here, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens here, whether this breaks down or resolves. So ALYI, where it's at right now, is a beautiful example in my eyes, in my personal opinion, of a great asymmetric profile. Okay, so you see this bull flag forming. This isn't really, it's hard to call this a bull flag, you guys, but almost that two-wave pattern that we talk about, we've pretty much trademarked here in the channel. Two-wave theory. You see the parabolic move up, followed by a pop of the bubble. So see a drop, see some capitulation, which is sideways movement, and ALYI is actually dancing right on top of this line of resistance on the overall uptrend. This kind of short to medium term uptrend beginning at the end of January, spanned over the course of this month, but ALYI has already seen a very significant correction of about probably like a 70% correction, 60-70% correction. So a quick price range from the high here to the low here. So we're looking at, yeah, like a 70% correction on ALYI. In a bull market, that is a very standard amount of correcting to do. So 70% correction, I'm very comfortable buying. It's dancing right on the overall line of support of the short to medium term uptrend. And it's like literally right at the tip of this bull flag. So, or descending triangle, in which case those are two polarizing patterns. A descending triangle is historically bearish, and a bull flag, of course, as you could assume, is bullish. Okay, so because I like ALYI so much, again, you guys, the Revolt token, I think they are releasing some information tomorrow as I'm recording this, which is Monday, March 1st. I think the CEO is supposed to come out with a little more information regarding the Revolt token ICO. That's going to raise $100 million, going to wipe out all their outstanding debt, going to fund the Revolt bike, and it's very exciting times, you guys. And again, this is a venture style investment for me. If we come down, I personally have been accumulating ALYI this entire time. If we come down a little more to test 70 cents, which is a 10% correction, if we come down 10% tomorrow to ultimately test this line of support one more time before resuming the overall uptrend, I'm a big old buyer of ALYI personally at 70 cents. Okay, so we'll close it out here, you guys. And of course, if we do come up here, bounce up here, say April 1st, we test the overall line of resistance right here, even being conservative here, using both those touch points, not the absolute high. If we hit this trend line on April 1st, that would take us to a 60 cent, almost 60 cents, 58 cent ALYI, which from this point, again, can do the math there. 8 times what equals 5960. I mean, I'm not, you guys know that's like an 8x, 8 to 9x, okay? So 8 to 9x potential from where we're at right now is very exciting, very appealing to me. As you guys know, long term, whether it takes a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, I do ultimately think ALYI can easily hit a market cap of $1 billion. It's so small right now with a market cap of only, after today's price action, of sub $9 million, which is the smallest market cap I've ever seen, and what makes this such an appealing trade to me because they're doing such a cool thing. Again, targeting the emerging market of Africa with bikes, and India, just emerging third world countries where they drive. Like, there's so many more two-wheeled vehicles in the world than cars, and many of you who live in the U.S. may not realize it because we're spoiled little buggers. But much of the world, the emerging markets, a lot of the world that I do think will go on to dominate over the course of the next 50 years, rides two-wheel vehicles at this point, and it's a very exciting project. I think $1 I mean, again, $10 ALYI would be $1 billion market cap, which is still tiny in the grand scheme of things. So very bullish on ALYI. You guys, will close it out there. You guys know we'll talk about ALYI plenty more, much more in the future. But until then, you guys, please let me know down in the comments below what your favorite play is here. We're seeing Bitcoin correct right now. Again, like I do think this correction is going to resume. I'm very confident in that. And again, I'm prepared for such. I got dry powder at the ready. I got some shorts in play to have even more capital dump into these once they correct. Okay, so very exciting. Please let me know what you guys think about any of this, whether you think the rally is going to resume and you think I'm an idiot, or whether you agree with the fact that we will pull back a little further. Always love talking shop with you guys. Always love learning from you guys. So I'll see you in the comments down below. And until next time, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace.